Roblox in 2024. What a world to live in. We saw plenty of newer games in the recommendations, or even just the homepage. Have you seen all these newer games just randomly occurring in the homepage all of a sudden? Yeah, I've seen a lot of those. But have you ever seen older games still anywhere on the homepage that still play a ton? Okay, I'm not talking about natural disaster, work at a pizza place, or murder mystery too. The devs know what they're doing since each game has over 10,000 people playing, and then murder mystery having 100k people. Wow, that's a lot. Anywho, I'm a 2014 player. I'm not considered very OG. Have you ever remembered that one game that stood out to you when you started? That first game that lured you into its creation and suddenly you became addicted to the platform known today? There's some games that prove that theory, but in 2024, there's not a big part it used to be anymore. So I'm DK, and let's look back at some classic 2014 games that you may or may have not heard about. Wonder where I heard that from somewhere. In this current time, this game itself still pulls in a good 100, 200 people, and sometimes even around 500 at certain cases, as it's always stayed the same during this beta. What am I talking about, of course? The game Super Bomb Survival. When you hear that name, Polyhex, you definitely have a good idea who he was and what made him very big in the first place. This game is all about survival. As stated in the title, bombs are being placed, spawned, shot, everything is chaotic, everything you see explodes. Super Bomb Survival is a clear example of a standard objective: survive to win. This game in this time was pretty big, probably one of the biggest and special games of the golden era of 2014, at least to some very old folks. I'm sure you know that this game had two big events such as Bloxgiving's 2014 event, and a part of the Roblox Easter egg hunt of 2015. This game stood out for many years, but as the newer and bigger games began to arise in the community, the game slowly downgraded in popularity. Now as we look in today's world, the games updates frequently. Almost a decade since the game's been out, actually. And they still continue to upgrade the game to a higher purpose and a better purpose of quality. You may never know what's having to wake up, log on to, and play a chaotic fun game such as this one. A little fun fact, that's what I always used to do when I was younger. Woke up, logged into my account, played Super Bomb Survival. I even brought my computer in a certain area at one point, because I actually love playing the game. Okay, what am I kidding? It will always have a good place in its era. If you, at a young age, were watching your favorite Roblox YouTuber at the time, you would know that Roblox Deathrun, or if you consider it Deathrun 3 if you played the older two, was a game they played at one point, starting in the middle of the year
2015.
Wisely, I'm gonna call it Wisely. Sorry if I get your name wrong. A highly known intern on Roblox was also create older games following along with this Deathrun topic. The first and second one did not continue for a certain period of time, which is why the third one was now made. And we all know now the purpose and the objective of the game
Is kill or be killed.
Don't point out the reference. There are two teams in this game, one being the passive runners and the other one being the killer. The objective is to pass through all obstacles and traps within the game's reach, reminding you that there's also a time limit to kill the killer, so beware of that. The goal of the runners is to make it through the obstacles and kill the killer in the following time. While the killer's goal is quite obviously kill everyone, meaning you have to outwit and predict the runners with your traps. Considering that the game itself has around 100 to 200 players and around 300 new players every day, it's still really quite popular to the newer Robloxians who play the game for the very first time, as there's a lot of newbies in the game. And we'll also say, there's still a lot of people posting content about the game, considering it's almost been a decade since the third's release. And Deathrun still lives on with a special place of creating chaotic excitement on 2 minutes. It was definitely a good time to be around, and probably one of the bigger games you would likely see in the older times. Do you remember this person? Do you remember this game? Okay, Mr. Infamous Alex Neutron's well known for his most popular game at the current time, Nuke City.
And his controversies.
But what if I told you that game wasn't his only popular game? Well, let me break it down to one game that actually stood out in the earlier games of Roblox. Introducing...
Dodgeball!
Of course, who could forget about Dodgeball? This game was absolutely a blast in its older times. A lot of YouTubers will definitely know this game, and for its earlier peak in the mid-2016 era, the purpose of the game is exactly like in the original Dodgeball.
Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge.
I wonder where I got that from. Every few minutes a new game starts, and the game will even out the teams, meaning you'll either stay on a team, or change sides so it's even. What makes this game stand out is not only was there a change of genre in the earlier times,
I tell you not, you must listen to their soundtrack of any music in this game. It is probably the best music I've ever listened to, and it fits the game genre very well.
Take a listen. Okay, Alex Neutron may have controversies behind the scenes, but he definitely knows his taste in music and games. Even the results page has a good soundtrack. Literally. This game stood out high in the 1000s for a pretty long time, even for its repetitive gameplay. It's very loved by a bunch of the community, but nowadays it never ceased at 1K very oftenly. In fact, it's only now in its low hundreds. It really would get a few hundred. It's unfortunate a good classic like Dodgeball would rise to a peak of many older Robloxians, but never stood around in the later era of Roblox. The last time it was updated was on January 4th of 2018. It will likely never see any more updates as we know what's really behind this man. Epic Minigames. You know, that one minigame genre of Roblox that's still popular today and was popular now. I think everyone's heard of this game. They definitely heard from YouTubers. They definitely played it in its old times, and they're probably playing it today. But what if I told you this wasn't the only minigame on Roblox during the older times? Ever heard of Ripull?
Like I said, I'm not talking about the controversies, I'm talking about the past.
Okay, you probably know what's coming next, don't you?
Ripull Minigames!
If you heard of this game, you may also remember one of its older games that was supposed to be created called Revive, right? Is it just me? Okay. Ripull Minigames at its beginnings development was a big hit in minigames. Compare and contrast between Ripull and Epic Minigames is always tight and close, sometimes even one game was over the other. But both games grew popular early in the 2015 to the later now. Well, one of them did. Ripull Minigames is the kind of game of, well, you expect it, minigames. There's varieties of minigames you play, and there's so many of them and lots of things to do, on and off the game. They had clubs you could join, particles, shops, pets. They had it all in this game. One of the best rising games in the Sleet era, at least in Roblox. The only issue about this kind of game, it really wasn't the game. It was Ripull himself. As you may know or not, Ripull was officially terminated from Roblox. The main reason was never known, and likely many have stated, he wanted his account deleted. Or something completely different. Don't believe what I say now. Even if he is terminated, the game is still playable, and the game nowadays is likely forgotten. Only pulling in around 20 to 70 players on a daily basis. Ripull was really well known for a lot of other controversy behind the scenes, but this video is about games from the past versus now, not about problems from the devs. Besides, he's gone. It's unfortunate that Roblox will never get a pre-sequel of Ripull's termination, or either will Ripull's minigames ever be fixed, because for some reason the music's not added in anymore. I think he has some very good music in the game. Big games. No words for it. Everyone knows big games. New or old, everyone remembers them for their very old popular games. Pet Simulator, with Presto now having 4 games based off of Pet Sim, it's obviously he's making bank. But his other games that are not Pet Sim related also achieved over a few hundred players, but there's one that stands out revisiting the past. We're going back to Giant Survival. Okay, before you say that this game isn't really old because it was created in 2019, I want to tell you now, this game was actually created earlier than that. The reason why it's created in 2019 today is because this is a remastered. The older version was created in 2014, and the main objective was simple: work together to destroy the Robloxian giants as monsters. The old game was terminated in mid-2018 of April due to lack of security measures and is being outdated in the current time, and it was much more changed. A year later is where we get our Giant Survival remaster today. In 2019, this remaster was quality-proof and much more cleaner. The game has special modes that increase cash funds, double bosses. Heck, you can even become the boss too. Of course, you can't play him though, but what if that could happen? This game may be easier to remember, likely because the older Giant Survival game is one of Big Game's earlier creations. Pet Simulator 1 only was created and existed around 2018. So he was making games in the past before Pet Simulator became his #1 priority of his hot trend. This game still pulls a good 300 players daily, so even if we combine his games today that's not a Pet Simulator game, it still pulls around a good 7,000 players from all 5 games. On the weekends, of course, but it's pretty good for a game that isn't the well-known Pet Simulator. The game itself may be repetitive, but it's very fun to go back to just destroy some giants in a chaotic and quick game.
6.
Horror is pretty big on Roblox, right? At least nowadays it is. Every single game, you may see at least 1 or 2 horror games on the homepage on almost any category. And as you see from the many experiences on the homepage, elevator games have taken a slight interest in certain Robloxians, at least during the COVID times. Don't remind me of that. Even if it's meme related, or just straight for humor, even before the high trend of elevator games, there was one elevator game that was in the earlier time of 2014. Okay, this certain elevator game was created just a few months ago, actually, but the older version was created in the middle of 2014. The reason in 2021, this game had a copyright strike, and I do not recall who it was from, but unfortunately the game was provided and changed. And then finally, a few years later, we have the renowned version today. The only sad issue is that this game died. That was the worst voice crack I ever had. But that doesn't change the gameplay aspect. There are 24 floors in the game now. Before it used to be 12 to 10. Now you've doubled that amount. Overlaying to the popular horror attractions like Sonic.exe or Jeff the Killer. They even have jump scares in this game, something where the few elevator games do. Before its copyright strike, this game brought thousands of players and many content creators to its domain as well, but the game in the end did not last to the other competition of elevator games. The game is still playable, but there are not many people playing at all, unfortunately. And the big reason for that may just be because he got copyright strike and all of the elevator games were taken off at the time. So all other elevator games took the popularity. So unfortunately, hitting a dead end with his popularity, there may be a comeback one day, but we will never know if he'll ever reach that top again. And that is it. I know there's many other games that were created earlier in the time, or even more in 2014. But hey, I'm not going to be that person to look at 100 old games to see how popular they were and how nostalgic it was. I point out 6 games of my choice that had a big impact in earlier times and that don't stand out anymore in the current times. If you guys enjoyed this, let me know if I should do more of these. More time would take, of course, but this wasn't too bad to do. Just do a lot of research and a lot of time and a lot of cheese sticks you're going through while eating this and recording and then researching. Oh, it's fun. But let me know if there was a game you played in an earlier time that you enjoyed. And until then, I'll see you next time. Take care.